The hour-long Nintendo Switch 2 Direct ended with an incredibly surprising reveal for Fire Emblem's next entry in its over 30-year history, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. This game's setting seems to take place within the same universe as Three Houses, but whether it's a prequel, sequel, or alternate universe is still unclear. Today I will break down every detail I could find about the trailer for the game, and by the end of it, you will have a much clearer idea of what the heck is going on. The trailer starts with a shot of a huge city where the heroic games will be held inside a coliseum. Awakening fans might have a sense of deja vu, as the aesthetic reminds me of Arena Ferox. At 15 seconds, royals with red and blue hair are shown waiting for the match to begin, which is given the go by the pointy-eared ruler, who is immediately suspected of being Nabatean, given that the universe this game is in has crests and heroes relics, among other people. We'll get to that. It's also worth noting that his hair has a green hue, much like Seros's does. As the man makes his speech, the trailer shows 4 characters: a purple-haired kid, a woman adorned in armor and a crown of dragon bones, a man in black armor with a hero's relic with a crest stone of Lamine, and a dancer/songstress. The heroic games are implied to be a tournament where the winner will get their wish granted by this ruler, otherwise known as the Divine Sovereign. The trailer then shows the purple-haired kid, whose name is Kai, alongside a girl with glasses, right before he sets out on his own to explore the city from a third-person perspective, much like when Byleth would explore Garreg Mach.
I only want to fight so I can save my father's life.
As he states his reasons for fighting, the camera focuses on an altar of a statue of someone holding a lance, and judging by the armor the figure wears, it's possible it's meant to be modeled after the Divine Sovereign seen at the start of the trailer. The loop design on the back of Kai's tunic is also very reminiscent of both the Officer's Academy uniform and Byleth's outfit. At 52 seconds, we finally see proper gameplay as Kai, in the new Flying Orneus Rider class, attacks an enemy modeled after the new Chariot class, wielding bows, and is named Thundercloud Knight. Before moving on though, the interface shows that alongside other traditional Fire Emblem actions, there's combat arts returning from Three Houses, blaze arts, which are new, and storage, which is the game's convoy. And it's possible to see that Kai has the crest of Aubin. Aubin is a crest that was possessed by Yuri. In Three Houses, this allowed the user to make full use of the Fetters of Dromi, as well as the crest ability to occasionally prevent enemy counterattacks when using a weapon. During the shot, we also see Kai's allies, a tome user in the bottom middle, 2 other magic users with brawler weapon icons, which indicates a return to brawling, a swordsman, and 2 other magic users, one of which being Kai's friend with the glasses, an archer, and one of the main characters in the game wielding a hero's relic. Weapon durability from Three Houses is back. Given that combat arts are also back, that makes sense. Bronze weapons make a return from Awakening as well. In the weapon menu on the bottom right, Curse is an attribute that for now we don't know what it does. Also, I guess lances are renamed to spears now. The icon for mounted units appears next to the bronze spear with a yellow up arrow indicating effectiveness, and the crit value is shown in yellow in the combat preview for Kai versus the Thundercloud Knight, implying the spear has some effective ability versus mounted units that may be increasing its crit rate. Then at 1 minute, the woman in the Dragonbone crown, Theodora, is shown defeating enemies around her while stating that she seeks great strength.
What I seek is a great strength, an unyielding strength for any foe, sheer strength to uphold the faith I hold dear. Above all, I need the strength to lead my people. Strength enough for a queen!
10 seconds later, gameplay footage of us controlling her is shown, revealing she's in the Noble class, wielding a new weapon called the Mahadu Spear. I don't know how to pronounce that. She's also level 18 and has a star next to her class name, which may indicate that Authority Stars or Leadership Stars from Yggdrasil might have a presence here. Authority Stars in FE4 and FE5 were generally given to main lords or high-ranking enemy units like Reinhardt or Sias. The more stars the unit had, the higher bonus to avoid and hit both they and their faction would gain until they were defeated and removed from the map. Her battle interface also shows her performing a gambit named Disturbing Strike against an enemy thief, and so gambits and battalions are back from Three Houses too. Some in-battle skills are also being activated. Theodora is activating a skill with this icon. The flexing icon probably gives her some kind of boost in combat. Leonie's Rivalry and Sylvain's Philanderer both have similar icons and affect damage taken and given in combat. On this map, new playable units are seen briefly: a shield-wielding man at the bottom, the same sword user from Kai's battle, a flying lance user, and a unit with an eye patch. At 1 minute and 19 seconds, we focus on a character named Dietrich. which is a German name which means ruler of the people, and also means lockpick. Anyways, this is definitely not what the localization is going to pronounce this name as, and is most likely going to be called Dietrich. But I wanted to give proper respect because I am notoriously bad at pronouncing names. He's the guy in the black armor, in the Myrmidon class, and at level 37, with a weapon called Answerer. The cutscene preceding the gameplay footage confirms it's a new hero's relic, due to having dragon bones and a crest stone in it. As for the gameplay itself, Dietrich is shown using dark magic to teleport near the enemy to strike them. We get more insight on blaze arts. At the cost of HP, Dietrich uses moving shadow to warp 3 spaces into an attack. Using blaze arts also boosts the blaze gauge next to the unit's level. As you can see, when Dietrich uses moving shadow, which gives +1 blaze, the gauge increases by 1. What this indicates is that blaze arts cost HP to use, similar to how combat arts cost weapon durability to use. When Dietrich attacks with the Answerer, the description says, a magic sword counted among the hero's relics, which lets him use the bloodletting combat art. In the battle menu, we see several skills being activated, and it looks like a combination of Swordfare, the Crest of Lamine doing something, and the activation of his personal skill, Murderous Intent, which is word for word the Death Knight's and Jeritza's personal skill in 3 Houses, which boosted hit by 20 when initiating combat. So yeah, the parallels could not be more obvious. Also, notice on the bottom left, it is raining. And we don't know how rain is affecting gameplay right now, but we also get a sneak peek at a new playable character with light blue hair, a man with a mustache. Dietrich also states that it's important that he faces it again.
It is imperative that I face it again. I must cull it with this blade.
Then in 1 minute and 32 seconds, we now take a look at Leda. Leda? I'm gonna say Leda.
There's a man I hate so much that simply killing him will not satisfy me. For that reason, I refuse to die.
Gameplay shows her class is Hunter, with an authority star next to it, and as she chooses her action, we see the interface of a new option called Manage Gauge. Her Blaze Gauge seems fully activated, with Song of Beasts costing 11 HP and half her gauge. Picking that art, she's rocking a guitar as dark magic oozes around her to summon a demonic beast to the field, which can be done once per map according to the description. In 3 Houses, the only playable unit that could do this canonically but not in-game was Happy, due to the consequences of her Crest experimentation against her that had her summon beasts by accident whenever she sighed. Around 1 minute and 42 seconds, we get more cutscenes. The first showing Kai protecting the girl with glasses while manifesting what seems to be his crest or some kind of weird power. Then a gladiator fight with a new character we haven't seen before, Dietrich using the Answerer to threaten a new character with green hair, another shot of Dietrich fighting a woman with a gun. It looks like that playable character from Kai's fight, but she quite literally is fighting with a gun, with a stock. Evidently this is out of place for the setting at first glance, and we're going to get an explanation later, but either the gun or the woman is releasing lightning or shadowy energy on contact with Dietrich's relic. Or maybe it's his relic causing it, I don't know. Look, the Agarthans created tactical ballistic missiles, so maybe submachine guns were next on the list. Maybe it's something different though. Fun fact, Shez and Sylvain's B support in 3 Hopes has Sylvain talking about creating a portable fire orb-like weapon that anyone can use, so one could say that the Sylvain Jose Glocktier wasn't too far off from being real. The next scene has a brief clash with a lady in a mask, and she has an outfit with the crest of Noah featured on it. For those who don't know, Constance had the Noah crest in 3 Houses. Leda is then fighting in the Colosseum with a sword against somebody. This guy might be the Divine Sovereign from the beginning of the trailer, as he's wielding a lance just like in the statue. This is the first of 2 times we see a thrown shot like this, before switching into another scene where she makes arrows rain from the sky. The next 4 cutscenes are of the protagonists, and Kai being the voiced beginning main character of the game, because he is specifically mentioned not to be an avatar. Then the game's name is finally revealed, Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. And in case it hasn't been obvious by now, this one is being set up as a proper follow-up asterisk to 3 Houses, the twist being that in the final scene, an adult Sothis is sitting on her throne.
The years were long, weren't they? Have you forgotten me so soon?
While she looks angry, this is Sothis we're talking about, so she very well might be just irritated and not outright malicious. Before we get into the implication of that though, let's try to make some lore tie-ins from what we know of the trailer and compare it to what we know about 3 Houses' lore. Due to the setting and the hint that the Divine Sovereign is Nabatean, fans are speculating that this game is a prequel to 3 Houses, and I will explain the reasoning for this theory, but also how it might not actually be true. So, if the Divine Sovereign is indeed Nabatean, then this could imply the game takes place place during the era of their rule. In Three Houses' lore, the children of the goddess were the previous rulers of humanity before the Agarthans attacked. We see an older Sothis, but Sothis was an adult when she ruled as the goddess, giving credibility to the theory that this game takes place during that era. And in Three Houses' lore, everyone with dark magic in Fodlan was tied to the Agarthans in some way, whether it was through experimentation, contact, or even alliances. And in this case, both Dietrich and Leda having dark magic gives away that they're connected to the group in some form. However, what throws a wrench in the theory that this takes place during the era in the same universe is that neither the Hero's Relics or Crest manifestations can exist. Hero's Relics were created only after Nemesis massacred the Nabateans and he and the 10 elites drank their blood to acquire the Crests. And then the relics were used against the surviving Nabateans and the Church of Seiros in the War of Heroes, where Nemesis was finally killed by Seiros as she reclaimed the remains of the goddess Sothis. The fact that the relics exist, operate seemingly the exact same, and that there are Nabateans, or at the very least just Manichetes, the dragon kind in Fire Emblem, means something completely different. And so we truly have no idea what setting this world is in, because we can take the same circumstances, a Nabatean ruler, an adult Sothis, and the Hero's Relics, which are completely different from Fodlan's Hero's Relics, and theorize that this might not be a prequel, but an alternate universe where the Red Canyon Massacre never happened, where Sothis was never killed by Nemesis, and the Nabateans continued to rule over humanity. Technology does not seem to have progressed that far where the Nabatean is ruling, which was something that humanity had concerns over against Rhea. Rhea rewriting history after the War of Heroes left everything that happened before that time up in the air, and only the banished Agarthans really knew what life was like before then. The Agarthans might have a somewhat similar yet different role in this game. Sothis' choice of words are a deliberate bait to the player that she might be talking to Byleth, given that she speaks about being forgotten, but it's too early to say for sure. The closest reference, of course, is Byleth, because that is the only lead to go on for now. There can be visual comparisons to be drawn with the three lords and Edelgard, Dimitri, and Claude, but the comparisons are mostly visual and thematic. In any case, much like the house leaders, Theodora, Dietrich, and Leda all have different banners behind their portraits, suggesting they all belong to their own faction, and the same goes for Kai as well. Finally, a Nintendo article published alongside the trailer provides additional information for the game, namely that the territory is called Dagshian, or however it's pronounced. I use Deep L for this, which surprisingly corroborates the Japanese trailer of the game, which not only has the Divine Sovereign name drop Dagshian as the area. What that localizes into is anyone's guess. The Japanese trailer also has Theodora name drop her territory of Salamis, which could be localized into Thalamis later. The article specifically mentions Kai as a boy from the countryside. The explicit use of boy and that no female version of him was present seems to indicate that he is not an avatar but rather a main character. The jury's out on if this game will have a traditional avatar unit though. And that wraps up everything I was able to pick apart from the debut trailer for Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. From the Nabatean Overseer to the introduction of Kai, Theodora, Dietrich, and Leda, this trailer was packed with mystery. We see the return of Three Houses combat arts and gambits, but also brand new features like blaze arts and classes and new heroes relics unlike anything we've had before. Lore-wise, this game leaves us very confused. The presence of crests, relics, and Nabateans all at once complicates the idea that this is a prequel, and the presence of Sothis makes it being a sequel hazy because she should not exist anymore. However, this opens up the idea that this game takes place in an alternate universe, led by intelligent systems and their own engine instead of what Koei Tecmo and their Warriors engine came up with. Whatever the case, let me know if I missed anything or if you were able to make a connection yourself down in the comments below. And please share this video with anyone who needs clarity on this trailer. Thank you so much for watching and I appreciate your support. And don't forget to leave a like. Deuces.